Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. In this video, we are going to learn how to add modal dialogues to any applications. So this applications we have created in another video, which is basically a simple to-do application. In this application is basically just for managing your daily to-dos. So you can just add some to-dos and press the plus icon and it will be added to your to-do list, and when you select the to-do, that particular item will be marked complete. Okay, and basically this is the application that where we are going to add a modal dialog. Okay, now here one of the features is if you double click on any of the rows, it deletes that particular row. Okay, now what I want is I don't want it to be deleted directly. I want a confirmation message that should appear first, and then the deletion should happen. Okay, so let's see how we can tackle that. So I have the project open in Visual Studio Code. Okay, and let me get this side by side. Okay, so now let me go to the main.js, which is actually powering the entire software. And this we have done. If you want to learn how we have done this, I will put the link in the description. Let's see how we can do this. Okay, so we have an event listener called double click, and when we do double click, we basically run this particular code. Okay, so if it's a TD, we are going to find the neighboring its parent, that is the TR, and after doing the TR, I'm going to first delete the particular to do from the, actually I think we don't need yeah, okay. So anyway, so I am just going to delete the particular to do item from the to do's object. So if you just go on top, you can see all these are the default to do's that we have. So we are deleting that to do, and then we are rendering the to do. So update this function render to do is basically uh, taking the array of objects that we saw on the top and printing it on, making it as a table. Okay, and then this particular function is basically calculating the total number of to-dos and how many are complete and how many are pending. Okay, so these two functions are run after every DOM change. Okay, now what I want to do is before deleting, so before running this particular statement, I want to get a confirmation from the user that whether they really want to delete it or not. Okay, so let's use a simple method first, and then we will actually implement a complex model dialog. Okay, so let's use something called as, let's say, if we will use the prompt command. So prompt, and here I can just say, oh sorry, I will not use the prompt, I will use the confirm command. Okay, are you sure? Okay, so I'm just going to uh, take this. If it's confirmed, then I'm going to run. So confirm command basically returns true or false. So if we select OK, then it will return true. If we cancel the action, then it will return false. Okay, so after that we are going to take all these three commands and put it inside the if statement. Okay, so all these three, because all these three commands I'm going to put it inside the if. So only if you accept the confirm dialog, then only all these three statements will be executed. Okay, so let's save it and try it out. So let's add something, and now let's try to delete this. If I double click, it asks me, are you sure to delete this? Okay, so if I do cancel, nothing actually happens. And if I double click on it, you can see it asks, are you sure to delete this? Let's say okay, and now it's gone, right? So it was that simple to get the deletion done. Now the next step would be, now this particular confirm, this is the inbuilt browser function, and it does not look that good. So next what we're going to do is we are going to create our own modal dialog, which we are going to pop up in the center, and we are going to ask the user. So that modal dialog will be on top of this particular form, and the users can select whether either confirm or cancel. And if it is a cancel, nothing will happen. And if it is a confirm, then that particular row will be deleted. Okay, so let's try it out how we can do it. So the first step would be to design the model. Okay, so let's come to the index.html. Let's go to the bottom, and um, let's give a class. Okay, so let's call it confirm model. Okay, and then we can have now this confirm model will be extending throughout the screen. Okay, so this will be like the background of the model. Okay, so now the next thing will be model. So model container. So this thing will be in the center, and this will be containing all the model elements. Okay, so what are the elements that we are expecting? So there will be an confirmation message. Are you sure to delete this entry? Okay, so let's call it like this. Okay, and after that I would like to have two buttons on that is aligned towards the right side. So let's create a div for the buttons. So I will call it as buttons, and inside that I will have a button, and let's call it yes and no. Okay, or I can say cancel. So this is how it looks now. Obviously it doesn't look that proper, but now we are going to style this. Okay, so let's see how we can style this. So let's take the confirm model, come to our CSS and come down, and let's add. Okay, and let's select the container, and the first thing that I'm going to do is set the position as fixed. Okay, so I'm going to do fixed. So as soon as I take that out, and you can see immediately everything comes on top of each other, right? So next what I can do is I can set the background color as, let's say, white, and so you can see I have a nice little background behind the elements. Now the next thing I would like to do is set the width to be 100% of the viewport width, so that will extend it in this format. And then I will also like to have a height which is 100% of the viewport height. Okay, as soon as I do this, you can see now my whatever is there behind it is now disappeared. Okay, so next I want everything to be centered. That means whatever is inside, I want it to be centered. So I can use a display flex, and then justify content center and align items center. Okay, so as soon as I do that, you can see I got this nice little um, option to bring it everything to the center. So I always use this method of display flex to whenever I want to bring things to the center. Okay, now next thing would be to style it properly. So this particular thing is done. Now let's go to next model container. So let's select the model container, and I think instead of white I would go a little, this is too much. Let's go for 8. Yeah, so this is fine. So I can slightly see the background. At the same time, I have the modal dialog also. Okay, so now we are going to use the model container, and I'm going to set first of all background color. Let's set a black color for this time being. So you can see this is how it looks, but I don't want it to be exactly black, so I'm going to change it to something grayish, or in fact I don't like this, so let me go white only. Okay, so I'm going to go for white color. Then next I'm going to give it padding, all around padding of 20 pixels. Yeah, I would like to give a border radius of, let's say, 20 pixels. Oh, that is too much. Let's give it 10 pixels. Yeah, a 5 pixels is enough. So I have given this. Now next thing would be to increase the width of the container a little, because it is a very small container, right? So I will like to increase the width to around uh, let's say 50%. Okay, so I will make it at least 50%, or let's say 60%. So 60% of the total um, width of the parent container. Okay, so the confirm model is actually 100% width, so my model container is going to take at least 60% width. Okay, next what I want to do is I can start styling the, okay, so let me think a little. I would also like to have an icon over here. Okay, so let's do that. Now I will remove this. In the H4 I will add let me add an image. Okay, and we will add this image later, but for the time being let's pretend that there is an image. Okay, and we will save it. And next what we are going to do is we are going to find an image for our uh, delete. Okay, so let's go for this is the, so let's go to material design icons and let's search for delete or trash or something. Yeah, so I think, yeah, so I will go with this, and I can download the SVG, and it is inside the to do application. Yeah, so I can create an images folder and just rename this so that I can access it easily. Okay, uh, let me see. Oh, I'm not, let me shift it inside. Done. Okay, so now I can come over here and select the images and delete.svg. Okay, so let's come back over here, save it. Okay, so now this looks something like this. Okay, so next I want to style these things. Okay, so the h4 tag, so let's style them. So I will take the model container and select the h4, and I will say display flex, justify content to flex start. Okay, and align items to center. Okay, so after I do that, now I'm going to target the model container h4 and image. Okay, so I'm going to target this and set the width to be at least 80 pixels. So that also that is too much, so let's go for 40 pixels. Okay, and padding of around 15 pixels. And now I think I can increase this to 80 pixels. Yeah, so this is how my things are going to look. Now I can change, I can target the text also. So model container h4 span, and I can say let's increase the font size a little, font size of 2 em. So let's see, 1 em, 1.5 em. Yeah, so 1.5 em is fine for me. Next we are going to target the buttons, btns. Okay, and I'm going to do, now I want everything to be on the right side. Okay, so first thing I will do is display flex, justify content flex end. Okay, so as soon as I do that, everything goes to the side. And let's set the gap to 20 pixels, so that gives me spacing, a little bit of spacing. Now next I want to style the buttons. Okay, so let's start styling the buttons. So dot buttons b button. Okay, so I'm going to style them. Now I want a little padding of, let's say, 10 pixels and 15 pixels. So I want more padding in the left and right. Now once I have this, next thing that I want is no border. So border none, and outline none. Okay, so I don't have a border, I don't have an outline. I would like to have a box shadow of 2 pixel, 2 pixel and 2 pixel uh, with a gray color. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, so I'm happy with this. And I would also like to add a shadow to our model container. Okay, so let's take this shadow and put it over here and see. Okay, so this looks good. Okay, so I like this, so we will go ahead with this. And okay, so now we have to style the buttons now, because one is a deleted button and another is a cancel button, so we can style them both separately. If we want, we can just add classes to them, but because there are only two elements, we can actually do, let's do buttons button, and let's select the nth child and the first one. So nth child will is used to select uh, each and every elements separately. Okay, so I'm trying to, I want this to be red color, so let's go dark. Okay, so somewhat this color. Okay, and save it, and then I can change the color to white so that it is much more visible, and font weight to bold. Okay, so after doing this, this is what I have, and I think the color is too dark, so I will make this color. Okay, and for the other one, I will duplicate this code and select the second child, and in the second child I can take a darker color and save it, and this is going to be my final modal style. Okay, so this is going to be my style, and now after looking at this, it is obvious that if I click the cancel button, it should close this modal dialog, and if I delete, then it should delete that particular row. Okay, now if I just figure out, then I don't have any pointer, cursor pointer showing over here. So let's come to this class and say cursor pointer, and now if I go on top, now we get a pointer icon. Okay, so that's it. Now let's see, is it responsive? Okay, so I don't like this, so it is expanding too much. Okay, so I don't want it to expand so much. So what I will do is I will go to the model container, and where I have written 60%, the clamp function. Okay, so the clamp function, what it does, it behaves differently for different uh, sizes. Okay, so let me show you how you can take advantage of it. Okay, so now here, when you use clamp function, you have to decide what should be the maximum and what should be the minimum size of it. Okay, so let's suppose your minimum size is, let's say, 300 pixels. Okay, so you want minimum to be 300 pixels and maximum to be 500 pixels. Okay, and between that you want uh, to have, you know, a variable size. Okay, so let's say 50 VW. Okay, so viewport width. So I'm setting the size to this, and if I refresh now, if I reduce it at this particular size, you can see it is this is the size of the uh, size of our model, and I think we can increase this to 40 400 viewport height. Okay, so this is much better. And also, if we go down and go to the buttons, I can add a margin top, because I feel that it is too close to the text. So I can add a 25 pixel margin, so that, you know, there is a gap between the text and the delete buttons. Okay, so once I have this, now I have the uh, things ready to go. Now next, what I want to do is I want to check for the various sizes. So let's increase the size, and now you can see it is increasing as per the width, and after a while it does not increase any further. Okay, so this is what I exactly want. So how much ever I increase the size, it is not going to go beyond certain size. Okay, so till here everything is fine, our model is designed, everything is working perfectly. Now the next thing is, by default our modal dialog, conform modal dialog should be display none. Okay, so that you know, if we try to show it, it should not be visible. Okay, now let us see Okay, first display none. Next, I am going to set visibility hidden. Okay, so as soon as I do that, uh, I get that modal is gone. Okay, so if I remove this now, and if I do visible, the modal comes back. Okay, so basically I just have to decide when to show the model and when not to show the model. Okay, so let me just do get it back. Okay, and remove these two lines of code, and let's come over here and let's add a class called show. Okay, so I'm adding this class. I have not yet created this. I'm going to save it now. Go to CSS, and here I'm going to add that particular class. Okay, okay, so here I'm just going to do this. Okay, so sorry, show model, sorry, I should call it as hide model. Okay, it should be hide model, and this should be hide model. Okay, so basically as soon as this class is there, that particular model will be hidden. Okay, and whenever this particular class is not there, so let's for example remove this class and save it, you can see that model appears. Okay, so this is what we all we have to do is this: whenever we want to show the model, you just have to attach this class to this particular div, and the model will be shown. Okay, another thing that I would like to do is, because we are going to click the button, we are going to show the same model for any of these particular uh, to-dos. So how will we come to know which to-do to delete, right? So for that, I will have to add an ID, and here this ID will be populated by the JavaScript. Okay, so I'm going to add that ID by through JavaScript. So by whenever I click on this, it should read the ID and delete that particular row. That's that simple. Okay, so I hope this part is clear. Now let's move on to the next part, that is to make this work. Okay, so whenever I double click on it, it should show the model, and it should be able to delete it. Okay, so now let's see how we can use this particular model that we have created instead of the default browser confirm function. Okay, so now here what we are going to do is, we are not going to run this command. Okay, so we are just going to, let's comment it out. So we will do this a little later, but let's first do one thing. Now whenever we click the TD, what we want to do is we want to open the model. Okay, and also while opening the model, I also want to set the ID of which particular element I want to delete. Okay, so if you look at this particular code, this is how I am getting the ID, right? So let's get that ID first. Okay, so let's copy that, and let's go to the model, and if you see, I have this particular button, right? And I have to set the ID into this. Okay, so before opening it, I want to set do that first. So let's first select the button. Okay, so now to select the button, I should have done, I can do a lot of different things, but let's give it a class for simplicity. Okay, so let's okay, so let's call it delete button. Okay, and now we can get that button. So delete um, btn, So delete btn is equal to document dot query selector, and here I can give it the class with which I want to select the button. Once I do this, now I just have to get the I just want to set the ID onto this particular delete button, right? So I will just do delete button dot ID is equal to, I will take this and okay, so I think I should not use ID directly. Okay, so I should, because this ID will be repeated, I think, and I have also used this ID over here also, right? So it's not a good idea to use ID, the same IDs again. So what I will do is I will use custom property, that is data hyphen ID. So whenever you want to uh, put any custom attributes to your any a particular element, then you can prefix it with data dash. Okay, so I want to do this, and here I'm going to go and all I have to do is just call data sets. Okay, and then I can mention the ID. Okay, so let's take this and save the ID over here. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just using the previous logic of getting the ID from the tr's element. Okay, so tr's checkbox element ID, and I am saving it in the data set ID, that is data ID, data dash ID. And after running this code, it should update it over there. So let's find out if it works. So let's open the console. Let's go over here. Just let's double click, and once I double click, if I open the confirm modal and go inside this, go inside buttons, and okay, so I do not have the data ID set. Okay, so let me see what I am doing wrong. Oh, this should be data set and not data sets. Okay, so data set. Now let me save, let me inspect. Let me go to the modal dialog and open the button. So you can see right now there is no ID to this. Let's double click and you get data 0. Okay, so if I double click on something else, the data ID changes. Okay, so that works. Now I have the data ID set over here. Next part will be to select this particular div with the help of this. So let me just duplicate this, bring it down, and so let me call it confirm modal, and let's select it like this. And then what I'm going to do is confirm dot modal dot, let's select class list dot, let's remove the class that hides the modal. Okay, so the name of the class is hide modal. Okay, so once I do that and save, now this should open up the model. Okay, so let me just see if it really works. If I double click, that opens the model. Okay, and now these buttons do not work right now because we have to still write the code for this. But let us start find out the code for that now. Okay, so let's give classes to both of them, and let's call it cancel button and delete button. Okay, so let's first uh, make this particular element close. Okay, so for that what I have to do is first I will have to select that particular element. So I can come over here. I can say document dot query selector, and inside the query selector I can select the cancel button, and I can then add an event listener directly. The event is going to be click, and I can use a normal function, anonymous function over here. And here the only thing I have to do is uh, I have to get this particular model, this particular line of code. So basically I'm getting the confirm modal dialog, and I just have to reverse this and add the hide modal command. Okay, so that will solve our make this particular thing working. So let's double click. So it brings in this. If I click cancel, it closes it. Okay, so nice. Now I can duplicate this and make the next button, that is the delete button, working. So delete button. So again, add event listener and everything is perfect. Now what I want to do is, so this query is going to be there because after the element is selected, I want to uh, hide the model, right? So this, let it be there, but before closing it, I want to do certain things. So those things are going to be, let's first check something out. Yeah, so what we can do is we already have the code ready. So first thing should be to get the ID from the target. Okay, so you can see I have added data ID to this button, and this is what we are clicking, right? So e.target will be that particular button. So I can get the data ID from it by simply doing let's say let ID is equal to, so e dot target dot data set dot id. Okay, so that is the name of the variable, name of the parameter that we are giving. Okay, so whenever you use data set, you just have to mention whatever is after the uh, hyphen. Okay, so you don't have to mention the entire thing. Okay, now once you get this, now I can copy this code from here, which is actually deleting the entire thing. So I can take it, paste it over here. Okay, so the to-dos is working. Now this ID will be replaced over here with this. So basically I'm just getting the to-dos array, deleting that particular ID, and then rendering to do, and then calculate to do status. Okay, and I think that is it. Let's save it and add a new entry, and let's double click, delete it, and it works perfect. Okay, so this is how you can create your own customized models and make it working. Okay, so all you have to know is first create a model. Okay, so I, like in my case, I've created this model, and uh, you should do position fixed so that it comes on top of everything else. And after doing that, you can just create a class to hide it whenever you want, and whenever you do not want, uh, you can bring it back. Okay, so and after that you just have to add as many buttons you like for different purposes. Okay, so in my case I wanted two buttons, one for deletion and one for canceling the action, and then attach event listeners to them. Okay, one thing to remember is without this it is going to be very difficult to find out which element to be deleted. Okay, because there is only one model that you're creating, and there will be multiple rows which you want to delete. Okay, so it will be very difficult to find out once you hand over the things to the model. then it will be very difficult to find out which row was to be deleted. Okay, so that's why this is a small trick which you can use to let the model know which element is to be deleted. Okay, okay, I think that is it. So I hope you got whatever was explained in this particular small tutorial. We will see you in next videos of similar type. Till then, have a nice day.